I've been super surprised about the number of questions that I get about what symptoms I experienced being pregnant with twins before my ultrasound. So in today's video, I wanted to share some of the main symptoms that I experienced and also give you a bit of a rundown of symptoms that I didn't experience for any of you guys who are trying to figure out really early on whether you might be pregnant with twins. So I'm going to start with what was the most obvious thing, the most notable thing for me, and that was that I felt so sick. So I gave birth to fraternal non-identical boy twins about 18 months ago, and when I was doing research around twin pregnancy, I did read a few things that said that extreme morning sickness isn't necessarily something that all women who are pregnant with twins experience. However, I did experience very extreme morning sickness. I was essentially bedridden. I was pregnant with twins around the pandemic. I didn't find that I had to take time off work or anything like that because I was able to spend a lot of time at home, in bed, or in my bedroom at least, and fairly comfortable. But I did suffer from quite severe nausea. My sense of smell was pretty much like otherworldly. At some points I felt like it was my superpower because I could smell absolutely everything, which was an interesting experience, but also made me suffer quite a lot because I remember smelling something so extremely that it was almost painful. For example, fried onions. There was a time when my mum was frying onions and the smell of it was just so strong that it actually felt like it was burning the top of my nose. So I was just experiencing very extreme sense of smell, which sometimes made me feel nauseous. I explained to you guys in one of my other videos that like I could smell the toilet water during the night in my ensuite and things like that. I do know that extreme morning sickness isn't necessarily something that is just simply for twin pregnancy. There are women who are pregnant with singletons that experience really awful morning sickness symptoms, but before I got pregnant with twins, I had experienced a singleton pregnancy, and during that pregnancy I did also have morning sickness, so I kind of had something to compare it to. So for those of you who have other children, maybe if you are experiencing morning sickness that is very, very extreme, then that could be a sign that you are pregnant with twins. And if it is your first pregnancy, I think this is a bit more difficult to determine because of course you don't really have anything to compare it to. But if you are just feeling really awful, then that could be a sign that you are pregnant with twins. I was actually put on some medication to manage my sickness because there was just a time where I just felt as though, honestly, I felt as though I needed to go to the hospital. I just felt as though there was something going on and I couldn't take it anymore. So I did actually go to my doctor to get some medication. So if you are somebody who's experiencing quite extreme morning sickness, do make sure that you speak to your general practitioner, your doctor, to see if you can get something to help with that. If you are high risk, that might be a bit harder to get, but when you're really early in your pregnancy, they won't know if you're pregnant with twins or not. So it should be fairly easy, unless you have any other health conditions, to get something to help with that. A symptom that I didn't experience, but I did want to mention because I have had a few of you asked about it, was bleeding. So I didn't experience any bleeding, any spotting or anything like that throughout the whole of my twin pregnancy. Now, I do know that spotting or some bleeding can be usual for some pregnancies. Pregnancy is really, really difficult to have a clear black or white line with pregnancy because everybody carries differently and experiences different things. So from the research that I've done, there's nothing that says that spotting or light bleeding is an indicator of twin pregnancy, and it is not anything that I've experienced. So I can't really say that I think it is a symptom of twin pregnancy, but I do know that it is commonplace in pregnancies in general. And of course, if you're worried about the amount of bleeding that you're experiencing or the fact that you're bleeding, do make sure that you speak to your doctor. You can never be too careful. The next symptom that I experienced really early on was fatigue. It kind of linked in with my extreme morning sickness. Because I felt so sick, I also had trouble sleeping, trouble basically relaxing. I feel like maybe early on, especially when I was feeling quite sick, actually probably for quite a lot of my pregnancy, I felt a bit tense. Like it was really hard for me to relax, and that was part of, you know, being a bit worried about feeling so bad. But then also, once I found out it was twins, I was nervous about things going well and hoping that things went okay. And so my mind was racing for quite a lot of my entire pregnancy. Actually, don't be like me, guys, relax. But for me, my mind was just racing all the time. It sounds really bad, but I think I gave birth at 37 weeks. I think it was 37 weeks and 4 days. I spent 37 weeks and 4 days of being fatigued. Like, I was tired all of the time. In the beginning, it was because I felt so sick. And as time went on, it was just feeling uncomfortable, feeling heavy. I also have figured out that I have a certain feel when I'm pregnant. It sounds really strange, maybe to some of you, but my body feels a certain way when I'm pregnant, and that is unlike I feel when I'm not pregnant. So I know that there are some women at some point in their pregnancy, they feel, you know, in good shape. They feel as they did when they weren't pregnant. But for both of my pregnancies, at no point did I ever feel as though I wasn't pregnant. For the whole time, I knew I was pregnant. You know, sometimes you hear women say, oh, I forgot I was pregnant. I was having so much fun, I forgot it. Now, not me. I never forgot. I always knew. And part of that feeling was just feeling tired all of the time. And so I spent a lot of time talking to myself a lot. And you guys will see on this channel that I have quite a bit of stuff around, you know, shower routine, self-care, all that kind of stuff. Because guys, it saves me all the time. One of the ways that I was able to get through this pregnancy was just making an overt effort to talk to myself nicely, taking care of myself when I could. I was getting family members and my husband and everything to rub my feet or rub my back, do something nice for me, please. Because sometimes, especially when you're pregnant, some of the ways that you feel, you can't really control it. So I tried to control what I could, which was the external things. So I spent a lot of time kind of reading to myself and letting myself know everything's going to be okay. Babies are going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. If any of you guys are pregnant, which I'm sure most of you probably are while you're watching this video, then go easy on yourself, seriously, because life bearing is so underrated. I think, like with most things in life, it's easier if you can get your mind right. So I did actually create a list of pregnancy affirmations that I will link for you guys down in the description. It's available on my website. It's a free download for you guys to use. It basically just lists some of the affirmations that I told myself when I was pregnant, which I think really helped with the fatigue and the morning sickness. The next thing that I experienced that I haven't spoken about tons is weight gain. Because I was eating everything, because I felt sick, I figured out that if I eat loads of carbs, that I'd feel less sick. I don't know if it was just that, especially with things that are really bready, it almost feels as though I was pushing down the nausea, pushing down the sickly feeling. So I spent a lot of time eating breads and sweet things, and I remember lying in bed and eating some chips and getting like halfway through the box and it tasting really bad and thinking, I don't know what this life is. I don't know what has life become if I can't get enjoyment out of a fry. Definitely before my ultrasound, I put on loads of weight. Actually, I think it was a week after I tested for pregnancy, I decided that I'm not standing on the scale. I actually refused. When I got to the hospital and they weighed me, I diverted my eyes because I don't want to know. I think it's really important to try and take care of yourself when you are pregnant and of course baby. So I would never advocate for anyone to kind of just go wild. However, I do think that there are stages of pregnancy and definitely stages in multiple pregnancies when you've got other things to think about, right? As I've explained, my mind was racing, especially in the beginning. There are so many things that you have to think about, so many decisions you have to make. Are babies head first? Are babies growing at the same time? What gender are they? Do you have enough space in the house? So many different things that you are thinking about, that what you're going to eat or eating something that is made in the best way or is the best thing for you is normally not on your list. On top of that, you feel sick. So no one really wants to eat a salad if it's just going to make you feel more sick. So what I did during the early stages of my pregnancy is just focus on trying to get the sickly feeling off me. I did try ginger. So I did try boiling some ginger because I read somewhere that ginger and actually peppermint tea did help me drinking peppermint tea to try and get the nauseous feeling off me. But I did put on a lot of weight. I did put on a lot of weight. During the first month or two of me being pregnant, I can't tell you exactly how much because I stopped weighing myself, but I know it was a lot. The next thing that I experienced really early on in my pregnancy was the gut feeling. And you guys are going to be sick and tired of me hearing that I knew, but I did know that I was pregnant with twins very, very early on. And if you guys want to hear all of the stories around how I manifested having twins, then you could check out my finding out I'm pregnant videos or some of my other videos around signs and symptoms, where I give you guys a rundown on all of the different ways I could have told the ultrasound tech that I was pregnant with twins. I knew before he did. If you are someone who just has a gut feeling, you just know. I don't know, it's really hard to explain. Sometimes it's not easy to kind of trust that kind of intuitive feeling that you have. But if you just have something that's bugging you in your ear, you know, an inner voice that just says, you know, it's twins, come on, you know, then you're just like me. And I had that feeling too. You know, like when somebody talks to you and you know they're lying, you know. So it's kind of like that. If you are having any gut feelings, if you are having extreme morning sickness, the fatigue, then you're just like me and it might be twins. So I hope that this video has helped you guys get an idea of some of the very early signs and symptoms that for me were an indicator of twin pregnancy. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.